It is clear that there is already a vertical displacement along the fracture. The flank is already beginning to slowly slide. And when I say that in connection with Etna, you might all go, wait, what? And a new crack, yeah, you hear me right, a new crack has opened at Etna. So we have to talk about this, guys. This is a new crack on the cone of the Voragine crater at Etna's summit. And if you see that picture, the crack is really, really visible. I've put it in a red circle, but the whole flank, I've put it in the growing lines where you see older cracks. This thing is moving down, and we're talking a lot recently about moving down flanks and cracks in mountains. Akernes Mountain in Norway that will fall into a fjord and can cause a monster tsunami that the world has never seen, maybe for inhabited areas, towns. You only have 10 minutes to live if the flank goes. So watch that video. I'll put it in the end screen. It's absolutely insane what's happening there. But I reported about Kandersteg in Switzerland. This thing is about to come down, and it will be a bigger disaster than Blatten. So that is also in the end screen. But Etna, let's talk about this. So this is on the Voragine cone, and it's about to collapse. This is, of course, not proof that the whole volcano is splitting, but it appears while the crater is already producing ash, and we see strombolian activity. And by the way, Etna has a known history of crater wall collapses and pyroclastic flows. While we know that this is happening, so ongoing ash emissions and a newly photographed crack. This is the photograph, but I have a video as well. So this is a warning sign that could signal a possible cone collapse, and it compares to the 1999 style pyroclastic flow events and what happened there, because something happened there as well with a cone collapse. I'll tell you about this because that is crazy if something like that was to happen again. And the recent activity is real. It's confirmed by the INGV. They reported summit activity beginning on June 14th. We have ash emissions. Why do I always say ass? I don't know. Guys, sorry, this is my tongue speaking, not me. I'm innocent. So ash emissions on June 15th. Aviation color raised to orange. And I'm just sorry, I'm speaking about aviation and I'm thinking about how I misspelled and if that is flying in the air and the planes are coming. So I've painted a picture for you of ass flying high up in the air, code orange, so to speak. And it has continued minor ash emissions through at least June 17th. So the INGV has also reported intensified Voragine crater activity that would match this crack, right? Strong detonations heard in town. Whoa. No, not in town, in towns. High volcanic tremor. So not one town, several towns. High volcanic tremor and SO2 around 4,800 tons per day. This is close to its 5,000 tons a day attention threshold. So if you're on Sicily, imagine looking at Mount Etna through the clouds and realizing the most important thing. When you look at that mountain, it's not the ash plume, it's the crack. And I'm showing you the video here. So this is the crack. You see the steam coming out. You see this is quite substantial and it's all around there. So this new fracture is basically high inside Etna's summit crater area. And this matters because that cone is not quiet already. It's already emitting ash, has been producing strombolian bursts. The tremor source has been sitting, yes, right there, under the Voragine area, roughly 2,800 to 3,000 meters high. At that height, we have that crater that's about 9,200 to 9,800 feet. So this is not, I want to make this clear, this is not an old scar in old rock. This is new. This is a crack on a cone that is active right now. And the dangerous question is not only will Etna erupt again. The sharper question that I want to ask is, what happens if part of that cone fails? Meaning, what if it collapses? Because Etna has done this before. Let me quickly tell you how that went. In 1999, the summit did not just like glow beautifully and throw lava around. The Voragine and the Bocca Nova area went through violent, we have to say, violent changes. Explosions, basically through bombs, volcanic bombs outside the crater. Lava fountains rose hundreds of meters, several hundred feet, and on September 4th in 1999, the lava fountain from the Voragine crater reportedly reached at least 1,500 meters above the crater. That's almost 5,000 feet, with dark ash and lapilli, small volcanic rocks that, if they hit you like bullets, were carried far down the east flank of Etna. And that eruption sent scoria all the way towards the coast near Ghiare, more than 15 kilometers, that's about 9 miles away from the summit. This is how large the area was. Some fragments near villages were up to 10 centimeters long, that's roughly 4 inches. That hits you, guys, right? It's enough to damage also, not only you, windshields, vineyards, fruits, gardens, roads. But the part that I really want to stress, or that really, really matters today, or for us today, came later after what I just described happened. On October 25th in 1999, hot material pushed up inside the summit crater like a dome. And then it rose, it steepened, and then it failed over the western rim of the central summit cone. So that collapsing mass turned into small pyroclastic flows that were moving at about 70 kilometers per hour. That's roughly 43 miles per hour. You cannot outrun that. And that's the real fear with this new crack, one of the real fears. It's not slow lava flow that Etna can produce as well, right? It's a sudden failure, a cone flank, because it's a volcano, it's lava rocks, it's not solid rock. It can look solid until the pressure, the heat, the gas, loose ash that is on it, and the gravity, they line up. Then the slope does not melt away, it breaks. And if hot gas, charged material collapses with it, it can move like a ground-hugging avalanche of ash, blocks, and volcanic fragments coming down at once. So at Etna, those flows are usually a summit and a upper flank hazard. They're not the same as a massive eruption racing into Catania in Sicily. But for anyone near that crater zone, guides, tourists, researchers, camera teams, hikers, and we know they are there, right? We all remember my videos about the Darwin Award folks, how close they got. Look at my channel page, at my start page, videos, recent, and there it is. So for all these people, that distinction does not help if the slope fails in their direction. It's over and out. Because 70 kilometers per hour, 43 miles is faster than anyone can run. And this is why that crack is concerning, I would say. It may be showing weakness in the cone wall at the same time that the vent system is active and puts additional pressure on that crack. So right now, Etna's civil protection alert level is still listed as green. So this is basically, until now, not an evacuation story or anything, but aviation alerts were raised recently because ash was being emitted. So that tells you Etna is definitely not sleeping. It is breathing, we have to say. It's breathing ash, shaking, degassing, and changing its shape. It is changing its shape. But now zoom out. Let's zoom out a little bit. Etna is not just a summit crater. It's a gigantic volcanic pile on the eastern side of Sicily, and it's roughly 11,000 feet high, 3,350 meters above sea level, but it's more below sea level. So it sits in a complicated zone that is linked to the African and Eurasian plate system, the Calabrian subduction zone. So where we have subduction zones, we know we always have volcanoes, but we also have the Ionian Sea margin. So the entire southeast flank of Etna has a deeper problem. Not only on top, a deeper problem. It is slowly sliding already towards the Ionian Sea, in the Ionian Sea. So also underwater. So modern geodetic studies show the southeastern flank moves seaward at centimeters per year. One study documented average onshore motion of roughly 3 to 5 centimeters per year, about 1 to 2 inches, and offshore instruments recorded slow slip events of more than 4 centimeters in only 8 days in 2017. So that does also not mean the volcano is about to fall into the ocean today, but Etna is not a perfectly stable mountain, and if that flank goes, an underwater landslide that can come from top and underwater, it can create a devastating tsunami, not only locally. So basically, Etna is active from the crater down to the flank. So scientists have warned that a catastrophic collapse of the whole flank or even large parts of it cannot be excluded. So if a large section of Etna's southeastern flank suddenly failed into the Ionian Sea, the danger would be huge. It would be a regional tsunami threat for eastern Sicily, the Ionian coast, and potentially parts of the central Mediterranean. And that is an absolute nightmare scenario. But the crack that we're seeing right now is a summit cone issue. This is not the same crack. So it's not direct proof that a gigantic flank collapse scenario also in the water is about to happen. The connection is the tension, but it's not certainty, right? It's a similar area. But at the summit, the danger is a localized collapse. Pyroclastic flows, falling blocks, sudden ash burst, and a crater zone that can become deadly very, very fast. And on the flank, also, that long-term danger that we're facing here is structural, right? Etna's southeast side is moving towards the sea. Definitely. Scientists still need better offshore data to fully understand where the unstable sector begins and where it ends. So there is a big unknown still. But now let's ask the important question, guys. What if 1999 happened again today? So first, the summit area would become extremely dangerous. Any people near the crater zone would be trapped between poor visibility, between falling bombs, ash, sudden fast-moving flows that will come after them. But second, the villages that are down there, that are on the east flank, we have to say on. Again, also, unfortunately, people like to build on volcanoes. They could see heavy scoria fall again, depending on the wind direction. Places like Milo, Fornazzo, Sant'Alfio, Zafferana Etnea, and the Ghiare area would matter immediately because 1999 already showed material can travel from the summit towards the coast. So third, Catania Airport could face disruption if the ash plume drifts into flight path. Etna does not need a giant eruption to cause chaos on Sicily. We know that. So a smaller ash-rich phase can still affect roads, tourism, cars, crops, everything, right? Everyday life across Sicily. And the psychological impact would be bigger now. In 1999, fewer people were living there and also like live streaming the event. Now, I guess we would have people that would live stream it, right? Any visible collapse or anything that's going on this volcano is filmed from every angle and it would spread instantly. And I would report about it, of course. The biggest scientific warning is Etna's shape is not fixed. Summit grows, it fills, it cracks, it collapses, it rebuilds. Craters change, cones change. The flank creeps seaward, we have to say that, and now this fresh crack has appeared on an active cone while the emissions continue. So this is a possible failure line on Europe's most active volcano. Now we have to look, does this crack grow? Does the ash increase? Does this tremor continue to stay high? And does the cone begin to deform faster? Because if the vorogenic cone starts to fail, Etna may not give a long warning. It may only give a crack, and then gravity takes over. So I will keep you updated. I have this video here in the end screen for you, and I mentioned it. It's crazy. You have to see it. I hope I see you there in a second. Thank you so much for watching, guys.